Major and significant resignations from the Justice Department spanning the headquarters in Washington and New York, a key office that you might recall has been in the news a lot whenever Donald Trump has come near the presidency. So we're going to go through it. You may have heard some aspects of this, and we actually have more news here just late in the day. So within the last few moments, we have gotten new developments. The baseline story is 3 more senior officials in the Justice Department's public integrity section, which is famed for its nonpartisanship and dealing with sensitive and difficult cases, prosecuting potentially officials and party members from Republican to Democrat without fear or favor. These new officials from that section, which I'm telling you is important, resigned following a meeting with the acting deputy attorney general dealing in the New York City mayor case. That's according to sources who've spoken with NBC News. That's late in the day and brings the total up now to 6 resignations here today. It began late today when the acting head of the Southern District of New York resigned. That's that SDNY office that you've heard about before. It's been a flashpoint for Donald Trump even before he ever became president the first time. This resignation came just days after an unusual and, according to many sources, improper interference from headquarters at Trump DOJ now to drop or basically back off what was a corruption case against the sitting New York mayor, Eric Adams. So Danielle R. Sassoon resigned in a letter sent to the new attorney general under Donald Trump, Pam Bondi. Now, she has been a Republican. She is a respected lawyer. You can see her there in New York. And she once clerked for one of the more conservative members on the Supreme Court in the last several decades, the late Justice Antonin Scalia. She also drew headlines for all kinds of cases that have nothing to do with politics and shouldn't, prosecuting Sam Bankman-Fried's multi-billion-dollar crypto fraud. After her resignation, the Trump DOJ moved this case against the New York mayor over to Washington's Public Integrity Unit. And if it continued there, that might be normal or okay. But that then led to another bombshell, raising questions about whether it was moved for this purpose or only to get headquarters in Washington and the new Trump people to have more control. Because top officials there also resigned. Here's how the Times puts it. The resignations represent the most high-profile public resistance so far to President Trump's tightening control over the Justice Department. Now, before the resignation, Sassoon, that official I mentioned, sent a very clear letter to the DOJ describing, at least on the Mayor Adams side, a type of potential or pursued bribe, an exchange, what is sometimes in law called a quid pro quo, and that it was proposed between the New York mayor and Trump officials. The accusation was that he said he would help more with Trump's immigration agenda if the charges got dropped. Quote, rather than be rewarded. Adams' advocacy should be called out for what it is, she writes. An improper offer of immigration enforcement assistance in exchange for dismissal of his case. It is a breathtaking and dangerous precedent, she writes, to reward Adams' opportunistic and shifting commitments on immigration and other policy matters with dismissal of a criminal indictment. And I'm going to read from this here more because this is such an unusual letter to get in any administration. And she sounds both concerned and quite candid. She says, and remember, this is a longtime Republican official who has done nonpartisan work under her obligations at DOJ, but I leave this on the screen for you to see, quote, I remain baffled by the rushed and superficial process by which this decision was reached. Now, I want to be clear, these are open cases. Mayor Adams is legally presumed innocent. That trial was going to happen in the future. Now you can see the case all but being backed off of. Adams' lawyer denies, however, that allegation of any, quote, quid pro quo. Now, in response to the resignation and her staff, the deputy AG writes back, prosecutors principally responsible for the case are being placed on off-duty administrative leave pending investigations. That is a word that can refer to gathering more facts, but since Attorney General Pam Bondi has lately ordered investigations of others deemed Trump critics or perceived opponents or enemies, the talk of new DOJ investigations, while they're being criticized by one of their own, adds to the flavor of this being a huge and growing scandal for Trump at DOJ. And I want to be clear with you. There's been a lot of talk in these first few weeks of the second Trump administration about what is distraction or what is flooding the zone and which things do you cover. We have very key evidence that this, unlike an Elon Musk press conference in the White House, is not what the Trump administration wants driving the headlines. That these resignations now mounting make it much harder to claim what they're doing is somehow just orderly DOJ business. It rather looks like, from nonpartisan experts to career officials, scan on their hands already as they try to do the thing that many people warned about, that we've covered here, that we've heard from experts about, that they would abuse federal power, DOJ powers, in exactly this type of manner. Another sign that they don't want this in the headlines and that they know it's incriminating seeming at a minimum is that President Trump isn't claiming some credit for this on a revenge tour. Here is exactly his exchange asked about this break.